The sun over the Permian Basin doesn't shine. It hammers the earth. It is a physical weight, a crushing hand of radiation. That turns the air into a shimmering, distorted curtain of heat. I am standing on the edge of what used to be a floodplain, but the water is long gone. The ground here is not soil, it is a scab, cracked, red, and hard as iron. The silence is absolute, broken only by the sound of wind, hissing through the hollow ribs of a dead tree. And then the absurdity enters the frame. At first, you see only the head. It is impossibly small, a tiny, lizard-like skull, no larger than a human hand. It looks fragile, confused, poking out from behind a rock with innocent, blinking eyes. It seems like a mistake, a biological joke. But then, the rest of the creature follows, and the joke turns into a monster. The neck widens, swelling outward like a river, bursting a dam, merging into a body that defies logic. This is the Cotylorhynchus. She is a barrel of meat and bone, a living fermentation tank, the size of a minivan, weighing nearly 2 tons. It is as if nature took the head of a gecko and welded it onto the body of a hippopotamus. She is the matriarch. And right now, she is a machine running on empty. You can hear her breathe. It is a wet, rattling sound. That tiny mouth is trying to suck in enough oxygen to fuel the massive furnace of her body. But the air is thin and hot. Her skin is thick, leathery, and draped in folds that trap the heat. She is a creature built for a wet, lush world that no longer exists. She is an obsolete model, grinding her gears in a landscape that wants her dead. She moves, and the ground vibrates. It's not the graceful trot of a predator. It's the heaving lurch of heavy machinery. Her legs are thick pillars, splayed out to the sides, forcing her to drag her belly just inches above the scorching rocks. Every step is a calculation of energy expenditure. She stops. That tiny head tilts, the nostrils flaring. She isn't looking for enemies. She is looking for moisture. The heat is the titan here. It is the invisible enemy attacking her from every angle. I can see the shimmer of heat waves rising off her back. She is cooking from the inside out. A massive gut, filled with fermenting plant matter, generates its own heat, turning her internal temperature critical. She needs to cool down. She needs water. But the riverbeds are just scars of dust. She lowers that ridiculous head to a patch of dry moss. She scrapes at it, not eating, but testing. There is no moisture. She lets out a low, vibrating groan that resonates in her chest cavity. A sound of pure misery. This is not a majestic dinosaur ruling the earth. This is a desperate animal trapped in a dying epoch. She is the king of nothing. The tragedy deepens when you realize she is not alone inside that fortress of flesh. As she heaves herself over a ridge, the sunlight catches the swollen distension of her flanks. She is carrying a payload. She is gravid. Dozens of leathery eggs are developing inside her, demanding calcium, demanding water, demanding a future. This is the cruelty of instinct. Her body is screaming for rest, for shade, for the sweet release of sleep. But the biological imperative, the code written in her DNA, is overriding the safety protocols. She cannot die yet. Not until the cargo is delivered. She stops near a cluster of withered, scouring rushes. To the untrained eye, this is just dead brush. To her, it is a signal. Her claws are her only true weapon. Massive, hooked spades designed for earth moving. She doesn't graze, she mines. The digging begins. It is violent work. Dust clouds explode around her as she tears into the hard pan. The sound is like stone grinding against stone. She is looking for the prey. Not a running animal, but a deep-buried tuber. A swollen root that has hoarded water underground for a decade. She finds it. A gnarly, wood-like root the size of a football. She doesn't have the teeth to chew this effectively. Her jaw is too weak. She uses the sheer, crushing power of her throat muscles to smash it down. Liquid. I see a trickle of muddy water escape the corner of her mouth. It isn't much, maybe a cupful. But for the matriarch, it is rocket fuel. Her eyes clear. The glaze of heat stroke recedes for a moment. She lifts her head, looking toward the horizon. Far in the distance, shimmering in the haze, lies the great salt pan. The anvil. Beyond it are the soft muds of the ancient nesting grounds. It is a 10-mile march across an open oven. She shifts her weight. The massive tail, thick as a tree trunk, drags behind her, leaving a furrow in the dust that looks like a road. She takes the first step, then the second. The meat fortress is on the move. She is not marching toward hope. She is marching toward duty. The logic of her brain is simple. Reach the mud or die walking. But the desert has eyes. Above her, circling in the updrafts, shadows detach from the sun. The Cotylorhynchus, the gliders. They are small, brightly colored, and patient. They know the signs of a failing engine. They drift lower, watching the heavy, stumbling gait of the giant. They are the funeral procession, waiting for the parade to stop. The anvil is not a place, it is a weapon made of geology. The salt pan stretches out for miles, a blinding white sheet that reflects the sun's malice upward, cooking the belly of the matriarch as she walks. There is no cover here. No rocks, no withered trees, no shadows. There is only the rhythm of the march. Thud, drag, hiss, thud, drag, hiss. She is moving through a nightmare of temperature. Her biology is failing. Evolution designed her for the swampy forests of a cooler age, where her immense bulk was an asset, a battery of heat in a cold world. But now, in this new, burning epoch, that same bulk is a prison. Her blood is turning into sludge. You can see the distress in the color of her skin. The dull, slate-gray hide is flushing a sickly, mottled pink as her capillaries burst, trying desperately to dump heat into an atmosphere that refuses to take it. She's not walking alone. The gliders have landed. The Cotylorhynchus are beautiful, in a cruel sort of way. Their ribs extend outward, supporting membranes of vibrant blue and orange skin. Wings made of bone. They fold these wings now, scuttling across the matriarch's back like lice on a sleeping giant. They are the opportunists. They can smell the fermentation of her breath. They can taste the salt crystallizing on her skin. one of the males, bold and bright, scampers up the slope of her neck. He is looking for moisture. He finds it at the corner of her eye. He licks the tear duct. The matriarch shakes her head, a slow, drunken wobble. It is a pathetic gesture. She is a 20-foot titan, and she cannot even defend her own eyes from a creature that weighs less than a squirrel. The glider chirps, mocking her. He knows she won't stop. To stop is to cook. To stop is to die. The heat creates hallucinations. The horizon seems to buckle and twist. The matriarch's instincts are fraying. She snaps at the air, biting at phantom flies that aren't there. Her internal compass is spinning, confused by the magnetic pull of dehydration. But the eggs inside her are a heavy, shifting ballast, a constant reminder of the mission. They are the only reason she hasn't collapsed. She is a vessel, a living cargo ship carrying the last hope of her genetic line. Suddenly, she stumbles. Her front right limb, thick as a tree stump, catches on a ridge of hardened salt. She goes down hard. The impact sends a plume of white dust into the stagnant air. The ground shudders. The gliders scatter into the air, a cloud of panicked color, screeching in protest. For a moment, she doesn't move. She lies there, her ribcage heaving against the baking earth. The silence rushes back in, waiting for her heart to stop. But the meat fortress has one reserve tank left. With a groan that sounds like tectonic plates shifting, she plants her claws. She pushes. The muscles ripple under the fat. She rises. She is ugly, she is exhausted, and she is magnificent. She resumes the march. The wind changes first. It shifts from the dry, dusty scent of the salt flats to something sharper, something metallic, the smell of blood. The matriarch freezes. Her tiny head swivels, the neck straining. The gliders sense it too. They do not land again. They circle high, silent now. They know what is coming. Out of the heat haze, the shape materializes. It does not lumber like the matriarch. It flows. It moves with a terrifying, liquid grace. It is the Gorgonopsid. He is the nemesis. He is the new world. While the matriarch is a relic of the Carboniferous swamps, this creature is the blueprint for the mammals to come. He stands high on his legs, not sprawled like a lizard. He has a compact, muscular body, efficient and cooled by a superior respiratory system. But it is the head that freezes the blood. It is a heavy, boxy skull, armed with two 5-inch sabers that protrude past his lower jaw. He is not a grazer, he is a butcher. He stops 30 yards away. He does not roar. Roaring wastes energy. He simply watches. His eyes are golden, intelligent, and cold. He is calculating the physics of the kill. He sees the matriarch, this mountain of flesh, standing alone on the salt pan. He sees the heavy breathing. He sees the stumble. To him, she is not a majestic ancestor. She is a buffet. The matriarch turns to face him. It takes her 3 full seconds to rotate her massive body. In a fight for survival, 3 seconds is an eternity. She hisses, inflating her throat pouch to look larger. It is a bluff. She cannot look larger. She is already the biggest thing in the desert. But the Gorgonopsid is not impressed by size. He is impressed by speed, and she has none. He begins to circle. He moves in a trot, light and bouncy, keeping his distance, testing her turning radius. He creates a perimeter of fear. The matriarch tries to keep her head pointed at him, but he is too fast. He darts in, a blur of fur and scales, snapping his jaws near her flank, then dancing back out before she can react. It is a test. He is checking the density of her hide. He finds it thick, but not impenetrable. He spots the vulnerability, the neck. That narrow, unprotected bridge between the heavy skull and the armored body. That is the target. The matriarch stomps her foot, cracking the salt crust. Dust flies. She lowers her head, tucking it close to her chest, protecting the throat. She knows this game. She has fought off Dimetrodons in her youth, but this thing is different. This thing thinks. The Gorgonopsid stops circling. He drops his chest low, muscles coiling like steel springs. The tail twitches. The playful testing is over. The execution is about to begin. The air between them crackles with the static of imminent violence. The past stares at the future, and the future is hungry. The attack does not begin with a roar. It begins with the sound of claws tearing the earth. The Gorgonopsid launches himself. He is a missile of muscle and fur, closing the gap in 2 heartbeats. The matriarch tries to pivot, her massive legs scrabbling for purchase on the slick salt. But she is moving in slow motion compared to the kinetic fury bearing down on her. The impact is seismic. The predator hits her shoulder like a battering ram, the force staggering the 2-ton giant. Dust explodes outward, blinding and choking. For a second, the physics of the collision seem impossible. The sleek hunter stopping the moving mountain. Then, the sabers come down. The Gorgonopsid drives his twin canine teeth into the thick folds of skin at the base of her neck. He is looking for the jugular, for the hot fountain of life. But the matriarch's defense is not armor. It is excess. Layers of fat, gristle, and thick hide trap the teeth before they can sever the vital arteries. She bellows a sound of shock and pain that vibrates through the ground. She cannot bite him. Her head is useless in a brawl. She cannot outrun him. She has only one weapon left, gravity. As the predator hangs onto her flank, trying to leverage his weight to topple her. The matriarch stops fighting the fall. She embraces it. She leans her entire bulk to the right, throwing 2,000 kilograms of dead weight toward the hard, unforgiving ground. The Gorgonopsid realizes the trap too late. He tries to disengage, to scramble free, but the mountain is already collapsing. The dust settles slowly, revealing the aftermath of the collision. The Gorgonopsid has rolled clear, but not without cost. He stands 10 feet away, heaving, favoring his left ribcage. He hisses, a sound of frustration. The prey is too heavy, too thick, too troublesome. He tastes the blood on his teeth, her blood. But the energy required to finish this kill is too high. In the ruthless calculus of the desert, a difficult meal is a death sentence. He snarls one last time, a promise of violence left unfulfilled, and turns away. He vanishes into the heat haze, seeking easier game. The matriarch does not celebrate. She does not even watch him go. She is broken, Deep gouges on her shoulder weep dark, thick blood that mixes with the white dust, creating a paste on her skin. Her breathing is shallow, a ragged whistle through her nostrils. The adrenaline is fading, and in its place, the crushing weight of exhaustion returns, heavier than before. But the smell is there. Beneath the copper scent of blood and the dry sulfur of the salt, there is the smell of damp earth. She forces her legs to move. One step. The pain is absolute. 2 steps. The world is narrowing down to a tunnel of light. She drags herself off the salt pan and onto the softer, darker soil of the dried river delta. The ground here is cool. It yields under her weight. This is the place. This is the memory etched into her genes. She collapses, but she is not done. Her back legs, driven by a mechanism that bypasses the dying brain, begin to dig. The motion is slow, clumsy, but rhythmic. She excavates a shallow depression in the mud, finding the residual moisture trapped beneath the surface. Then, the labor begins. One by one, the eggs slide from her body into the cooling earth. They are white, leathery spheres, soft and vulnerable. Each one represents a percentage of her remaining life force. She is emptying herself, pouring her essence into these fragile vessels. The clutch is laid 20 perfect chances for the future. She does not cover them with dirt. She has no strength left to turn around. Instead, she uses the only thing she has left. She lowers her massive body over the nest. She settles down, her belly pressing gently against the clutch, her bulk forming a living dome over the eggs. She becomes the shelter. The sun begins to set, painting the desert in bruised purples and bloody oranges. The temperature drops, but the matriarch no longer feels the cold. Her eyes, those tiny, ancient windows to a world that is disappearing, blink once, twice, and then they remain open, staring fixedly at the horizon. The wind picks up, blowing sand against her flank. It piles up against her, beginning the slow work of burial. She looks like a hill now, a mound of biology returning to geology. Underneath her cooling body, in the dark and the damp, the eggs are safe. The matriarch is dead. Long live the matriarch.